I was with my ex for a year and a half, a period that, despite its brevity, felt like an emotional minefield. The beginning was promising, filled with hope, and the possibility of finding something real after so many years of loneliness. But beneath the surface, cracks had already started to form. After just 3 months of being in a committed relationship, I stumbled upon something that shattered my trust. I found her snapping and entertaining over 10 guys on Snapchat. It was a punch to the gut, a brutal reminder that the woman I was trying to build something with was still deeply intertwined with a lifestyle that I'd hoped she had left behind. At 35 years old, this was the first serious attempt I'd made at personal growth, trying to break free from selfish tendencies, to be patient, to understand that relationships aren't just about convenience, but about effort, sacrifice, and genuine connection. I wasn't young anymore, nor did I have the energy or the desire to waste on fleeting flings or endless cycles of betrayal. I always wanted a partner, someone I could trust implicitly, someone to spend my life with, create a family with, and share genuine love that stood the test of time. When I confronted her about the Snapchat messages, she promised to change, to reassure me that her actions wouldn't define us. She promised she would work on our trust, and I, desperate to hold on to what little hope I still had, believed her. Then I took a leap, a big one. I asked her if she wanted to move in with me. Not just her, but her 2 kids, who had already endured so much upheaval, living with relatives, bouncing from place to place, never truly having a stable home, or the sense of a complete family unit. I wasn't doing this out of pride or some misguided sense of self-importance, but because I genuinely wanted to give them stability, love, and a sense of belonging they'd never experienced before. They weren't just her children. They became my family, my priority, my reason to believe in something better. The months that followed seemed like a test of endurance. Things appeared to improve initially. Her promises, her assurances, her efforts to make us work. But trust is fragile, and no matter how many promises are made, one breach is often enough to open old wounds. Sure enough, another crack appeared, another betrayal. We sat down and talked again, and she swore it would never happen again. Her words felt hollow, but also desperate, and I clung to them, hoping that this time, maybe, we could turn things around. Yet, as the months passed, more issues surfaced. The arguments became more frequent, more volatile. When we fought, it often spiraled into accusations, frustration, and pain. I found myself asking, how much more can I endure? How many times do I forgive before I lose myself? I'd never been in a relationship that had so many cracks, each one a silent echo of disrespect, of broken promises, and the slow erosion of my trust. My closest friends, who had supported me initially, started to hint that perhaps it was time to walk away. They saw what I refused to see anymore, that the repeated betrayals, the disrespect, the drinking, and her reckless behavior were damaging not only our relationship, but her children's safety. I tried to convince them that it was still fixable, that everything could be healed if she just truly changed. But deep down, I was beginning to doubt that myself. Her drinking spiraled out of control, and it became a barrier I could no longer ignore. It was tearing us apart, making her reckless, dismissive of her responsibilities, and ultimately putting the kids in danger. Every time she drank, she was less attentive, less caring, more impulsive. I constantly voiced my concerns about her neglect, about the impact her actions had on her children. But she pushed back, minimizing the problems or dismissing my worries altogether. Meanwhile, her ex, the father of her children, had recently been released from prison after serving 5 years for multiple DUIs and a long rap sheet, an overall bad influence. She painted him as the villain, emphasizing how terrible he was, claiming she was never involved with him and that she kept her distance. She told me how she'd shielded the boys from him, how she was doing her best to protect her children from the evil she claimed he represented. But I wasn't born yesterday. I took her word at first, believing her narrative. That was a mistake. Then I decided to see for myself. When I found her text messages with him, I discovered that he was consistently trying to see the kids, and his Facebook profile was filled with pictures of him, with the boys, smiling, happy, connected. Did that change everything? It made me question what I had been told. Maybe she hadn't been completely honest. Maybe she'd been shielding me or herself from uncomfortable truths. Her continued misuse of alcohol worsened her reckless behavior. She started neglecting her role as a mother even more. Her children, the 2 little angels, aged 4 and 6, deserved stability, love, and safety. Instead, I saw her spiraling, putting her own desires above the well-being of her kids. I was heartbroken, angered, and overwhelmed with frustration. How could someone act so selfishly, so unconcerned about the human beings they were supposed to protect, those tiny hands that reached out for love and security? Eventually, I made a pivotal decision. I accepted a flight in a new job, moving to Colorado from Pennsylvania, believing it was a necessary step for my own growth, for earning better for us all, for giving her and the kids a better future. It was a difficult choice, a sacrifice, but I saw it as a chance to gain distance from the chaos, from her destructive behavior, and to focus on my own healing. When I returned home after a few months, I was met with the ultimate betrayal. She had invited her ex over to my house while I was away. I found out she'd let him into my home, my space, despite everything, and even worse, she claimed nothing happened between them. She said she simply wanted to see if there was still a spark after 3 years apart. Tears, anger, disbelief. I've never been so humiliated, so disrespected by anyone, especially not by someone who claimed to love me. That was the final breaking point. I knew I could no longer continue down this road. The love I once felt had been eroded by betrayal, disrespect, and neglect, by her choosing her own reckless desires over the safety of her children, her responsibilities, and her integrity. I made the decision to end it all, and I knew it was for the best, even if it tore me apart inside. But my concern for the boys remains. I love them with all my heart, more than I ever thought possible, and I will do everything in my power to protect them. Since the breakup, her drinking has worsened. Her reckless behavior, her neglect, her dismissiveness, these are no longer just red flags. They are threats to their safety. I reached out to her ex, her baby daddy, not with animosity, but to understand him better. Turns out he's not a saint, but he's not the monster she painted him as either. Now, faced with the reality of ongoing neglect and her increasingly dangerous behavior, I've decided to help the courts. I am assisting her ex in seeking primary custody of the children sitting there in the courtroom, doing everything I can to ensure they are protected and placed in a safe, nurturing environment. It's not revenge, it's justice. It's me standing up for those innocent kids who deserve more than chaos and neglect. This entire journey has been a whirlwind of pain, heartbreak, disillusionment, and growth. I once loved her with every fiber of my being. But now, I am left rebuilding my life, healing from a love that betrayed me, and a family I thought I was going to build forever. The scars remain, but so does my resolve to never let anyone harm those who are most vulnerable and to keep fighting for what's right, even when it feels impossible.